Hey everybody, welcome back to Art by Galen. I'm Galen Eilenfelt. Today we're going to be going over the Reilly abstraction but applied to the side view of the face. Since putting up my last few Reilly method tutorials, I've gotten some questions and suggestions that I do it from the side view, and so we're going to tackle that today. As with the other tutorials, we're going to begin by drawing a circle. And if you're not comfortable drawing out a circle, you can always use the shape tool and draw it out if you'd like. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to get it as close as you can. After we've gotten our circle, we're going to go through and divide it the same way that we would as if we were doing the straight-on view. Just divide it horizontally and vertically. From here, the next step we're going to take is we're going to divide the top and bottom section into thirds. So we're going to put marks like so. The next step can be a little tricky. Basically what you're doing is you're drawing another circle inside roughly about where that first third mark is. And what this is, if you remember when we did the face view, the front view, we had to slice off the sides of the heads to get these side planes of the head because the head isn't a perfect sphere. And so this section is that side plane that you're looking at. It's a perfect circle because we're looking at it from a side view. Okay, now from here, we know already that this center line is going to be the top of the eyes. Now if we take this first mark up from the bottom and draw a horizontal line across, that gives us the bottom of where the nose will be in a moment. Now if we take that same measurement, if we go up 2 more marks on the top, that'll give us the rough position of the hairline, and if we do the same measurement to the bottom, that'll give us the rough position of the bottom of the jaw. And that gives us, if you recall from the first video, 3 equal sections. So we've got 1, 1, and 1. From here, what we need to decide is the shape of the front of the face. That's typically going to be, kind of a curve. It can vary quite a bit depending on the person. It can be very pointed outward. It can be very straight. Sometimes even if the person has a very prominent jaw, it can shape like this, with the nose coming out. It just depends on the person. Before we go any further, I want to take these bottom 2 sections and I want to divide them into thirds. So roughly here, and then about like so for the bottom. Now this top line in this middle section here, this will give us the bottom of the eye. Now we know what we can do. We can take this line here, and this will be an approximation of where the bottom of the nose will be, and it curves outward and then arcs back in depending on the person's bridge shape. Now the front of the face is going to vary a whole bunch, so I can't really teach you exactly how to do that, but I can give you a rough estimate. Now here, depending on how much the person's brow protrudes, at the bottom of that eye line it's going to start curving forward, and then it'll turn back into the forehead, depending on the shape of the person's face. And if we come back a little bit, we can give ourselves the sides of the nose. I like to go roughly around this first third, sometimes a little bit below it, to mark my placement of the center of the mouth. And then you'll have an angle coming out for the bottom of the lip. You'll have an angle coming out for the top lip. And then it will curve back up into the nose. And from that you've got your approximate mouth shape. The next thing is you can come from the bottom of the lip and curve inward and back outward for the chin. And as with the rest of the front of the face, the chin shape is going to depend entirely on the particular person that you're drawing. From here we can slightly curve a line upward towards the center line, and then it'll turn sharply up into it, and that'll give us our jaw. The ear itself will fall perfectly on this center line and just in between the center horizontal line and the line that is the bottom of the nose. So it will fit right in this section here. To determine where the eye is going to be, this is a good starting point. This intersection of the inner circle and the bottom of the eye line, that's a good starting point for that very back point, because when you're looking at a side view of a face, an eye is not shaped like this. It's shaped more like this. because you're seeing the, where the eyelids come together on the side of the face, and then the front of the eyeball itself, and you don't see that whole opening. So we've got this top line and this bottom line, and then the eyeball itself that shows. And you will notice on the majority of people that this portion here that shows on the eye is more of a curve like so. It's not a perfect bubble the majority of the time because of the way our eyeballs sit. From here, I'm going to dim this down and I'm going to make a new layer, and we're going to start drawing on some of those Reilly abstraction marks. And I'll do those in a different color so they're easily seen. Some of what makes the Reilly abstraction useful from a front view is kind of lost on a side view, but some of it is still useful. And we can do them in a different order because we're not worrying about trying to shape out the nose and the mouth and the eyes anymore. If we drag these lines over, on the front view, we would have done the muzzle circle, and then the secondary circle outside of that comes from the bottom of the chin and arcs upward. And it's not terribly useful information from the side view. So we'll leave it in, but we'll make that very, very faint. And we'll make a new layer and come back with another color. But we do have a couple of things. We've got this sweeping line that comes from the end of the mouth up toward the nose and then back towards the top of the ear. And that can give you like the curvature of the cheeks and the crest of the cheekbone up at the top. There is another line from where this second circle would intersect with the mouth line that also comes up towards that. And that helps further define the side plane of the head. We also have the line that would come from the side of the mouth back and then up to the center line. And again, it's not terribly useful, but it gives you this section, which would be behind the cheekbone, but between there and the ear, which is more flat than the rest of the face is. The back of the skull isn't actually this perfect circular shape. I like to go a little bit above this first third mark, like maybe a quarter of the way up from there. And if we start from this back portion and just ever so slowly start to veer up off of the circle and then straight across into that, that'll give you a rough estimate of where the bottom of the skull will be and where it attaches to the neck. We can pull the neck down from here and then from under the chin as well. And depending on the person, this will vary a little bit, but not terribly much. From this intersection here, we can also pull an arc if we mimic the curvature of the top of the eye. If we mimic that and pull it forward, that can give us kind of an estimate of where the brow is going to be. Now this is my own play on this. I haven't been able to find very many Reilly tutorials as far as a side view, and I think a lot of it is because it's not quite as useful as the front view is. But anyway, I hope that this ends up being helpful for you. We've got another little circle down here where the chin protrudes. But I mean, it's really not as useful as it is from the front view. And the last thing that I want to show you, it's kind of automatically done for you already, but this portion of this inner circle, this would be that side view of your head, where your forehead curves over and then the side of your head becomes more straight and flat, and comes down into your temples here. But anyhow, I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that it shed some light on drawing the head, from the side view, and taking some of those Reilly method abstractions and using them to find specific information on the face here. Like I said, I personally don't feel like it's super useful from the side view, with a couple exceptions, but I think that the majority of what you're going to learn from studying the Reilly method is going to be from that front view, because it helps you. I don't think it's so much of a method of like using this to draw your face every single time, but using it more as a method of study, like drawing this over and over from the various angles and everything, helping you understand the structure of the face itself. And that way, later on, when you're working on other pieces, you don't have to go through all of these steps to create your faces, but you will know the relation between certain landmarks on the face that can help you better sculpt your faces out. So anyhow, I hope all of you have a great day, and until next time, take care.